What's going on, Pathways Church? I'm Jake Collins, your middle school pastor, and I'm excited to join you for this week's Daily Dose. All this week, we've been looking at biblical one-hit wonders, people who have one huge moment in the story of Scripture, but are overshadowed by bigger names around them. We've connected these examples to the world of music and explored how their big moments can encourage and inspire us as followers of Christ. Sometimes one-hit wonders are remembered not so much for the songs themselves, but for the impact that they had on the culture of the time. A classic example of this is the song "Video Killed the Radio Star" by the Buggles. This song was actually first released in 1979, but it did not truly make an impact until 2 years later, when its music video became the very first one to be played on MTV. The song's title and the message were perfect for the network's launch, and the choice of the Buggles as the first artist to be featured opened the door for other artists to become much bigger deals than these pioneers. In Acts 12, we read about an incredible event in the ministry of Peter. He's in jail, literally sleeping between two guards. An angel shows up suddenly and leads him out of prison. We see Peter come to his senses, and then he decides to go to John Mark's mother's house, where he knows that a group of believers are meeting. Now pause for a second. The last person that this group is expecting to show up at the door is Peter. Last they knew, he was in jail, and there's no way that he's been let go. It's here where we meet our final biblical one-hit wonder, a servant girl named Rhoda. We read in verses 13 and 14, Peter knocked at the outer entrance, and a servant named Rhoda came to answer the door. When she heard Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed she ran back without opening it and exclaimed, "Peter is at the door." No one else in this house believes Rhoda when she tells them that Peter is at the door. They aren't convinced until they open the door and see him for themselves. But notice that Rhoda doesn't question for a minute that it's Peter. She doesn't doubt her ears when she recognizes his voice. She doesn't assume that it's a Roman official trying to impersonate him. She has full confidence immediately that this is the same leader who was just arrested during Passover. There were people in that group who were undoubtedly more powerful and influential than Rhoda, but she acknowledged this miracle of God before anyone else did. And she didn't just acknowledge it with her mind, but she also did it with her words. Now, Rhoda saw results of her words almost instantly. This doesn't always happen. You might find yourself in a situation where you are the only one with a faith foundation, or where you're the only one who has a sense of what God is doing in a given situation. For example, maybe you have a tremendous sense of peace in the midst of a struggle. It's one thing to have this peace, but it's another thing to be able to share it with others. I pray that we would all have this boldness when the time is right. Thanks for joining me this week on Daily Dose. We look forward to seeing you all Sunday.